not basically everyone is familiar with the topic of non-duality or the ideas of it. And this isn't so much a talk on the topic of non-duality, but the direction of non-duality, which is its direction is a negation of duality. Yes, really. There would be no need for non-duality if there wasn't duality. So, and there isn't duality, therefore there's no need for non-duality. Truly, but in the appearances, in the dreaming, there seems to be a dualistic construct that keeps, and you can see it in the movements of things, yes? High, low, close, far. Every coin, no matter how many times you cut it, has two sides. It just goes on and on. So basically, because of the confusion and and a lot of the misunderstanding that arises out of this way of seeing things, this dualistic way, down the road somewhere, let's say today, an idea came up, which is called non-duality, which is the negation of duality, really. It's just saying not two. Yeah. Why? Because saying one from two doesn't work, basically. If you keep saying I am the one, the only one, as a two, it doesn't work. So basically there's a negation of the two, then there's a finding out about what you are. I don't think you're ever going to come to a conclusion. It's sort of a living answer in a way. And I found in my experiences this worked, where attempting to get non-duality, first of all, the idea that it's an experience, I'm not agreeing with that. Yeah, because there would have to be something to experience it, and it would have to be something to be experienced, which it isn't. So it's a completely out of the realm of in, and you would say it's the of. Now, the of, I feel, is the space that the in can appear in. Yeah. So it's the context, while the in seems to be a content. Now, in that content, there's a lot of concepts about the context of, but the of is always being framed from the in, which hasn't proved to work, I don't feel. And therefore, the way that allows us things to work is the negation of that in. And then there's a recognition, which has always been, all recognitions have come from the of. But there's a recognition of that, yeah, or an intimacy with it. And it works. So I heard satsang, I say, in it was up in Berkeley Hills a long time ago. I think I was reading a book by Ramesh Balsekar, and then for somehow, I don't know how, but I found out a lady from Eastern Europe was giving talks in Berkeley. So I went up there, didn't know anybody. There was only a few people in the park. I couldn't even hear her. She was very soft spoken, but it didn't matter. Yeah. If I heard it or not, there was a hearing of it. Yeah. And I went back, got me more interested in this book I was reading, the Who Cares by Ramesh Balsekar. I think that was it. And, you ever see a dog when it's trying to understand you? It does that little thing with the head, starts trying to and that was sort of what the book was doing. I was reading the book, and the logic of the mental state was just getting twisted and perplexed. Yeah. And really, it was initiating a lot of pauses, I remember, where I would just stop and have to have this thing digested and then regurgitated. Uh, and uh, and then it went off. And after a while of going to satsang and entertaining these ideas, I started to see not so much what is, but the activities that block it, seemingly. Yeah. And they became actually more important. So that's when we put out our first video, which was about the lion and the sheep. Yeah. And where the parable ends is when the older lion drags the younger lion who's forgotten or who has been acting or identified as a sheep for a couple of years over to the waterhole and puts both of their heads over, and the young lion sees the reflection of the old lion and itself as the same, and there's a waking up, or actually a waking up from the sheep to what was always the case, being a lion. Yeah, and then pretty much that's the end of the parable, and that's the invitation. Now, I found that there needs to be like an adjunct invitation, which is what happens when the old lion splits and the young lion leaves the pond, and see what happens in the next few seconds. The young lion, the sheep programming triggers and now says it's had an incredible lion experience, and it's just neutered the revelation in about 10 seconds, in a way. And I found truly that that was more important to understand than to try to understand what's not understandable. Yeah, because you can understand the second segment. You can understand the act of identification because, in a sense, what we take ourselves to be as the representation of it. It's 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 sort of like the fish is so intimate with the water, it doesn't know the water. We're so intimate with, in a sense, with the programming that we can't see it, the programming. Yeah. And if we do see the programming, there will be a certain point where the seeing of the programming ends, and it's still the programming seeing the programming, which we have a statement in recovery called "Self Can't Get Out of Self" that I feel captures that movement. Yeah. So non-duality is just a negation of a lot of false assumptions and a lot of things we just take for granted and believe, and brings us to, it's sort of like a mirror so that you can see things that you're looking from. Yeah. Because most stuff we get introduced to takes us for granted. Yeah. And so we're going to become, spiritual. We're going to be the one who realizes something. We're going to arrive at the other shore. It's almost like it opens its frame enough to fit us. And to me, non-duality negates that, yeah, which is beautiful. So, uh, so the big topic wouldn't be Paul is worrying about next week. It would be Paul. Yeah. The worrying about next week would be unessential, which most of the time the worrying about next week is essential and Paul is just the given. This would switch that and see the worrying about next week really is unessential, and the seeing it's the Paul, because the meaning about next week is coming from Paul. Yeah. So it's just worked. So, and I feel it was the answer concerning the last answer, really. So to me, the non-duality is the last answer, and the direction of it is the answer of the last answer. So non-duality is a negation of let's say imaginary or seeming conditions and circumstances that arise that are usually just taken to be true. And therefore, the understanding that comes through non-duality really brings into stark contrast the misunderstandings that are fostered and actually reinforce the duality, the sense of the duality, and the real dualism of the whole event, which is us as a subject object. Yeah. So there's the sense of subjectivity, but it's attributed to an object as the mental state interprets it. Yeah. So that's the nature of duality, in a personal way, dualism. And so non-duality is a negation of it. Yeah. So we stop looking for what we are and we see what we're not. It's just the way it goes. That's the direction. So I hope that gets delivered here every week. Because really, truly, essentially, the fact that's being implied by non-duality is a fact. It's readily always available at all times. What's causing it to seem to be so elusive isn't it. It's an activity that maybe you want to say it's entertaining. And so by questioning that which is being entertained, I feel works, instead of, again, using what you are to look for, using what you are to look for what you think you are, or whatever it may be, like that. So it's a direction. And I wasn't hearing that at the satsangs I went to. That's why it came up. I sensed something, and I was seeing a dualistic expression at satsang. There was a person sitting somewhere, and you could feel the sense of the other people looking at the other person. They believed he had something or she had something that they didn't have. And it got to a point where that person one day started laughing, and he came from a Zen lineage, and he said, "Hey, I'm like a man standing by the river selling water." Right at that moment. And then he said, "It's even funnier than that. I'm a man standing in the river selling water, and therefore I must be in the water buying the water." I left and I never went back to that. Yeah. And and so I would hear descriptions of what can't be described, and where all we are is this and all we are is that. But really, the more important message should be all we're not. I felt, truly. That's the conclusion I was brought to. The more important knowledge is about what we're not. We don't need knowledge about what we are. We are it. We need knowledge about what we're not. Yeah, so that sort of formulation wasn't in sequence, and over time got sort of sequential. And then that was the seed assignment, was to share that, and whatever was moving through this action figure, the action figure felt a little responsibility that I should get clearer and better to carry this message. But it was very clear to what was coming through me that wasn't necessary. And it basically, it ended my expansion of the message, and it's just trying to repeat the same thing over and over again in thousands of different ways, really. Because I truly believe if you don't see this, you're going to look from it. Yeah. You are. Because really, the default mechanism that we feel, because all there is seeing, or the awareness, but there's more of a feeling of being what we're looking from, yeah, which is just a point of view called self-centeredness. So I felt that was more essential than, basically the fact of non-duality. I felt it was more essential to see the direction of it, and what's really truly emphasized is what you're not. Yeah, and by seeing what you're not, you find out what you are, which is the seeing of what you're not. Yeah, so there you have it for today. Anyone have any questions or shares or?
Yes, Lynn, a Lynn by chat says or asks, Paul, please explain the metaphor of the cop, the thief, and I don't remember the third.
Well, there isn't one, but there's a cop that may be like a sergeant or a lieutenant, you know? So yes, the that comes from a teaching from Ramana. I don't have it around the page, but it's basically you start getting a feeling about something that you would call the thief. You know, self is what has defeated you. It's taken away your life. It's da da da, caused this and caused that, and then there's a recognition of that, and the observing of that quickly becomes the observer, which is the policeman. So now you have a policeman that's observing the thief, and you've played both roles. And after playing both roles, many of us would probably just go with the thief because the policeman has the word perfection in there, and it gets to be like having a stick up your ass, yeah? And you can't really, you're just being observed all the time by the same activity that you call the thief, just masquerading as a policeman. Yeah. Now, for some people that I know more intimately than others, some of them who have an incredible resume, they've done tons of stuff. They have done, I mean, literally tons of work, what they would call spiritual work, and yet they're totally just driven crazy in the head. Yeah. And I believe truly is because they became very, very clear about the self that they've been observing, but not about the self that was the observer. Yeah. And so, in a sense, in their lives, knowledge has brought irritability, restlessness, and discontent. It hasn't brought an ease and comfort. Yeah. And I feel that they saw one side of the coin, which is the thief, let's call it, but they don't realize it just flipped over, and now that the observed as the thief is appearing as the observer, the policeman. Yeah, and so that's what I mean by it. Now, I forgot exactly. That's the feeling I got from it when I read it, but that was a while ago. And I'll try to get it up, and I'll put the whole paragraph up, maybe, or Mike will, if I can find it. But it has Ramana spoke about the policeman and the thief, and this is my interpretation of it, off the cuff. Yeah. So again, that would be a dualistic thing, right? So the observed, and there would be an observing, and then an observed would go, let's say, coagulate, and let's call that self the small s self, and that which is observing, which is that empty whatever, is now going to be claimed, and now that's not going to be made the thief, but it's going to be made the observer of the thief, which is like the policeman. Yeah. And now suddenly in spirituality, you feel like you're on probation, and you got to watch whatever you're doing or should have done, and you should have your back up super straight and everything like that, be the last person to leave the meditation hall, do this and do that. And it's truly, it's just as uncomfortable as the thief, but the thief basically had more fun in a sense. Probably more consequences, but at least they had some fucking fun when they. It was quite temporary, but still, it seemed to be worth it, really. So I had a large, let's say, period of the thief, and then I had a shorter period of the policeman. But when the policeman found robes, like spiritual robes and spirituality, it had a field day on Paul, seen as the thief. Yeah. Yeah, it was a drag, really. So, and then what would happen, it would provoke more practice with the hopes of getting out, but the claiming of the practices would reinforce that which I wanted to get out of. And so it was like a conundrum, and I had no understanding of it until I did. And when I did, wow. The first time I really saw it, it was like an overview of years from like 6 to about 50 or something. It just scanned it very quickly, but it basically came back with most of the endeavors that were happening was Paul trying to get out of self, and Paul is AKA self. So self was trying to get out of self, or the policeman wanted to get rid of the thief. Yeah, but they are the same. They're of the same coin, and not knowing that, the more it failed, the more I tried to do. Yeah, because of course, with a self-centered point of view, I took myself at fault, or the teacher, or whatever, but mostly myself. And I thought if I only meditated more, or met the right one, or did this or did that, maybe India, it was sort of like getting snake eyes, and I just kept trying to roll the dice with the hopes that some formulation was going to work. Yeah. Now, of course, there was some relief, but the relief was followed by like a straitjacket of rigidity, so to speak. Yeah, so I hope that helps, Lynn.
Yeah, she did say thank you. Got it. You trapped yourself by doing. She says thank you. Got it. You trapped yourself by doing.
Well, you don't trap yourself by doing, but the doing is used to reinforce the doer. Yes. Yeah. So, and some doing we believe would lead us out of a trap, and some doing wouldn't. But actually, any doing that's claimed by the doer without us noticing it is going to reinforce the doer. It's not going to liberate it, so to speak, through the doing. Yeah. So I feel that I felt being introduced to the understanding of non-duality, it brought a lot of being convinced of the misunderstandings. Yeah. To a point where there was no more dispute or debate or anything. It just closed, like that tributary of leakage just dried up. Yeah. And I really feel like I was freed from the need to be liberated. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm not that which needs to be liberated. That's worked. So, yeah. All right, Mike.
Okay, and speaking of Don O'Connor from last week, he's up next.
Oh, Don.
Hey, Paul. Yeah, I saw the video. Yeah, I was just talking to Sandra earlier on. She told me she was talking to you last week, so I had a quick look. What was I saying? So it's pretty just we were talking just on the phone just earlier about confusion, and it may be just what you just answered just there about the thief and the policeman. But I was just noticing. I mean, I'm noticing quite frequently, but just today, for example, feeling confused, and then looking and going, okay, there's awareness of confusion, And so like that should be enough, almost should it enough awareness. But then this just feels like I'm in the confusion. I'm going, okay, there must be some identification here. There must be some selfing. There's something. I can't seem to see it. I'm looking at the confusion going, I'm feeling kind of shit. So I'm thinking, I must be identifying with something. How do I get, is this just self trying to get out of self? Is there a solution to this kind of feeling in the confusion, trying to just be aware
Well,
of?
yeah, because the feeling isn't a fact.
Yeah,
It's just an interpretation. So there's seeing of the confusion. The mental state's reaction to that is you're in the confusion. Yeah.
it's what it feels like. It
Well,
feels like,
exactly. So, but see, the seeing brings the whole event about. The mental state arises and claims the confusion as, and then immediately says, I'm in it. Yeah. And then there's a feeling that's really, it's more of a sense than a feeling. Yeah. You sense that you're in something that you're not in. Yeah.
yeah. And I guess I feel like there's some kind of a commentary I can't hear in words, kind of saying you must be trapped in this, or if you were doing this properly, you wouldn't feel so terrible. You
Yeah,
wouldn't.
that would be sort of like
Must
the
be some-
see the thief and the policeman can interchangeably appear like every second, yes? So that second little observation I would say is from the mouth of the policeman, yeah? You shouldn't be confused by now and stuff like that. Yes? It isn't like a sequence that there was a thief and then a policeman. They're interchangeable. They're going on. So when there's finally a sense of something that's been fucking up and you become somewhat conscious of it, there's another thing talks about that. Yeah. Which before it talked as that. So now that is now objectified. So now the policeman is talking about it, yeah, as the subject, and the thief is now the object. Then it switches around, and then the thief is the subject, and the policeman's the object. And you're saying these fucking thoughts are really yes. It just goes on and on, yeah. But you're not of that, and so you saw it, and then it quickly pulled the curtains by going, I'm in the confusion. But you saw the confusion and you saw something arose to say something about the confusion. But suddenly, somehow, it seemed like the curtains were drawn and now you're in the confusion. But you're not. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say that story would garner some momentum and you'd have to live 3 chapters of it. Hopefully you get out of it in a couple of paragraphs. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
traveling lighter. Yeah. So when these things used to happen, and there would be longer and more oomph in them, and now they're less time and less oomph. Now that's the experience of traveling lighter. Now the experience of traveling lighter is more vague because it's more of a condition or a state, and you see, yeah. So you have experiences while in the state of traveling lighter. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
So now there's another step back. You can now see that isn't me that's saying I'm in the confusion. Yeah. Yes. It's the character that says it's a character that's in the confusion. You're not the character. Yeah. So there's always a point of negation. That's the point of non-duality.
yeah. I mean, it just seems like it comes at random. Sometimes I see it more clearly, and other times I'm going, what the hell? I saw that yesterday or last week, and today I'm just seemingly in it. I don't know how to see it like I did yesterday.
Well, yes. And I wouldn't do shit about it, really.
Okay.
Yeah, because you just become a knot that tries to unknot another knot. You just rely on the seeing of it and see how it parses out over time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me on this, really. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, but you can at least like a lot of people, it starts out they hear satsang and now they see what they used to look from a little more. Yeah. So basically, uh, there's not more space, but the camera has been moved back. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, that's what happens. So when the camera moves back like this, you get to be seen more. Yeah. When the camera, see, this is old realizations, really, really big realizations. Non-duality to me is more like this. So you get seen. Yeah. Because when you're seeing all these realizations, you're not seeing the ownership of them. This is, you see the ownership of shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And after a while, what you don't own loses specific, the specifics don't have that much meaning after a while. A peak experience goes just as quickly as seeing that my head says it's in the confusion. It just doesn't, it's just going. Yeah. Yeah. And then try, if you want to try to do something, do it. It's gonna have great value because it won't succeed. And then it will echo some of the things we've shared here. So you'll learn that way. You can't lose. Yeah. I want to get out of the confusion. Okay, give it a shot. And then what, you get out of the confusion, now what? You're still confused about who is it that got out of the confusion. I thought that was going to go when I got out of the confusion. Yeah. Just like you found out about you didn't need to go to a Vipassana retreat by going to the Vipassana retreat. Yeah.
Yep.
That's how some of us learn. Yeah. I felt I was in the confusion. I did tons of shit, never seemed to succeed. And I finally realized I can't get out of what I'm not in. There you go. So the attempting to get out of the confusion served you. This is something I read. I was reading about the Course in Miracles. Can I read it right now? Everyone? Yeah? It comes from a chapter I used to like, or a part. I need do nothing. Yeah? So basically, it says, all right. I don't want to give you it all, but here. It is impossible to accept the whole. All right, we won't go there here. Many have spent a lifetime in preparation and have indeed achieved their instance of success. This course does not attempt to teach more than they learned in time. Yeah? So, one way of learning in time is relying on what's not reliable, and then it finally reveals, you finally get that it's not reliable. There you go. Yeah? So, this course does not attempt to teach more than they learned in time, but it does aim at saving time. Yeah? You may be attempting to follow a very long road to the goal you have accepted. It is extremely difficult to reach atonement Well, you could say non-duality there, really. Yeah. By fighting against sin, enormous effort is expended in the attempt to make holy what is hated and despised. Nor is a lifetime of contemplation and long periods of meditation aimed at detachment from the body necessary. But they may be necessary for you, yeah? Because you and I, as the dreaming, can do it any way it wants, as it said here. All such attempts will ultimately succeed because of their purpose. So there's one way you get the message, da 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 da. There's another way you're going to dream yourself out of the dream, and as you do, the dream will get happier. Yeah, that's another way. Yeah. Nor is a lifetime of contemplation and long periods of meditation aimed at detachment from the body necessary. All such attempts will ultimately succeed because of their purpose. Yeah. So how is those for some of us, how are those attempts going to succeed? By failing us? Yeah. We're going to realize we didn't have to go on that retreat by going on the retreat. Yeah. Or here, all such attempts at detachment, all such attempts will ultimately succeed because of their purpose. Yet the means are tedious and very time-consuming, for all of them look to the future for release from a state of present unworthiness and inadequacy. Yeah? Your way, if you're sitting at the satsang, just like it's saying when you're reading this book, when you're sitting in this satsang, your way will be different, not in purpose, but in means. A holy relationships is a means of saving time. We're not going that way in a sense, yes? Here. It's basically saying you are prepared. What is non-duality saying to us? We're it, yeah? What's looking is what we're looking for right now. Being ourselves reality now, yeah? You are prepared. You don't have to prepare to be reality. You are reality, yeah? So he goes here. Now you need but to remember you need do nothing. It would be far more profitable now merely to concentrate on this than to consider what you should do. You see? So we were just considering what we should do concerning being in confusion. And the suggestion here is basically it would be far more profitable now merely to concentrate on this. I need do nothing than to consider what you should do. Yeah? That's the message. Yeah. That's the message. The message is we have no opinion about are you over worrying about next week or not. We're just wanting to see is there a person that's seemingly doing it, because that's the narrative and that's what the narrative reinforces. So when you're not that person, a lot of the times the optimum understanding is I need do nothing. Yeah? Quite beautiful. So when peace comes at last to those who wrestle with temptation and fight against the giving into sin, when the light comes at last into the mind given to contemplation, or when the goal is finally achieved by anyone, it always comes with just one happy realization: I need do nothing. When we arrive at the other shore on having never left. Now, to say I need do nothing as a doer but seeing that you're not the doer, I need do nothing is incredibly beautiful. Just like on having never left, yeah, is incredibly beautiful. Yeah? I need do nothing on and on having never left are in the same category. Yeah. So yes, whatever you do is going to ultimately work, because it cannot ultimately work because you're it. Yeah, you cannot forget it for that long. It doesn't matter all the shenanigans of thinking you're something else. It has never made you to be something else. No matter how much you believe and have faith in it, you can't be that something else that your head has made to be you. You're already something or nothing. Yes? There's no recreating. Isn't that good fucking news? And when you hear that news, I'll tell you, one of the most appropriate responses is, I need do nothing. Because every other fucking thing we hear seems to stimulate, I gotta do something. Like seeing confusion, but seeing that I am in confusion are two different things. When there's a seeing of confusion, what? But when there's a feeling that I'm in the confusion, there's a movement, isn't there? A desire to get out, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. That's how it goes. The desire to get out is totally based on a belief that you're in. We're concerned about the getting out. Are you in? And if you start entertaining the fact you're not in, basically the appropriate suggestion would be, I need do nothing. Because I'm not in. Yes? That's what changed my life in a way. When I heard this message. When I heard it in other ways, it was just another call to arms. I got more stuff to do, more this. When this started to hit me, and realizing all these other shores, every time I arrive there, it's based on having never left. So it seamlessly goes into the understanding I need do nothing. And if being that, I need do nothing about that. Yes? Not being that, the one who's in the confusion, I need do nothing about the confusion. Yes? It goes both ways. You see that's in, you're not that. Yeah? When you believe completely that you're in, you better do something to get out. Yeah? But with this message, hopefully you won't believe that you're that which is so believing it's in, and so you're out is I need do nothing. Yeah? Which is going to do what in the Course in Miracle vernacular? Save you time. Yeah? Doesn't it save you time to escape from an imaginary place? It saves you incredible time. You don't have to do anything, and it won't take any time to get out of it. It's an imaginary place. Yes? Yeah? What's the problem of not being in something? It saves all the time that's going to be spent trying to get out of it. Yes? This is the point. This is sort of our way to save time. As the Course in Miracles says, this is one way to save time, the Course in Miracles. It's not the only way. What better way to save time getting out of shit is by realizing you're not in. Yeah? It didn't take a second. All the time spent getting out of what you're not in, it's just on and on and on. But what happens when you realize you're not in? There's no drive to get out. Yeah, that's nice, eh? This doesn't cause you to be cold-hearted and never being available to help people, but you know when there's different levels, and you speak from a level, and you say, okay, if you really believe you're fucked, hey, let's do this, let's first breathe a little, see your shoulders and drop them. Yeah. Look at where your feet are, these simple things to sort of locate yourself somewhere. Then the mental triangulation, which is a strangulation, being triangulated by the mental state. Yeah. Yeah. But ultimately, in this platform, we're in the need to do nothing camp. Yes. First, see stuff before you start doing shit, because you may be misseeing stuff that's inciting the doing. You may be, yeah. Maybe there's a way of seeing it where there's no incitement of any doing. So you don't chant, I need do nothing. You're not doing anything. You're living this statement. You're not chanting the statement. How are you going to do yourself into I need do nothing? Just only by seeing the doing it as a failed mechanism. That may help. That may lead you. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't like, oh, I'm really feeling fucked, but I shouldn't be feeling fucked, and there's no one to feel fucked. No, get a pail of water if you feel really fucked. Yeah. But in fact, I don't feel like I need a pail of water. Now. Yeah. The appropriate response is, I don't need a pail of water. Yeah. I should need a pail of water. No. I'm going to need a pail of water, not yes. So, thanks, Don. I hope. Yeah, I hope it was.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I need do nothing is not a practice. It's an observation. It is. It's not a practice. It's an observation. You've heard the message. You're hearing the message, and it leads you nowhere really. And then there's a recognition. Wow, what a relief. Could you imagine if the problem is we still doubt it a lot? Yeah. But if you could actually just hear the message and get, yeah, I need do nothing, and then just yeah. Hmm. All right. Anyone else?
Yeah. Thanks, Don. We have Bruce and then Deborah.
All right. Hi, everyone. Oh, man. Yeah. I guess 2 meetings ago, you mentioned pause. And then I left the meeting just prior to you saying hello to everyone. And impulsively, there was a phone call to my daughter, in the sense that, I wasn't in possession of the tools to cope with the emotions at the time when, anyway. So the pause, or that, seeing myself in others, in the sense of that baby lion being taken by the, lion, and then returning to the sheepfold. And, and then this whole journey. And I guess there's like a Zen story, I think, where you say 2 people jumping off a cliff, that's surrender, I'm powerless, and it's tossing it up, and during the fall, the one guy's freaking out all the way down, and the other guy sees a strawberry, grabs it, and eats it. So when you said pause, and then I've heard keep quiet. I think be quiet, and it was like a dawning. What's a quiet mind? So when I saw the seeing of these thoughts. And it was like, wow, quiet mind. But then there's like, what if you were all of a sudden transported to, a cave like where Ramana was? I mean, he left after a while, but I mean, if we were just all of a sudden, or, you mentioned when you got the flu, you have some mobility, but when you're in the hospital bed for 3 months, that there ain't going to be nothing you're going to do. But I don't know, there's kind of a feeling, I guess, perhaps like a flu of the mind. I don't want to negate that because of this, like seeing in others, that other sheep and all those other sheep, and that they're going to live that way. And I don't know if I would go down this journey if I knew what it entailed. But here I am. The satsang is like that pail of water. And, I'm, apparently not that self-realized to where, there again, that expectation of the mind, to be at peace with itself, which is not me. I don't know what that is. All that is, the feeling like it's not that it's not me, it's like, it feels like it's a part of me in a way. So I don't know. I just wanted to share how well that pause, served the flu that I was in. It was like a cup of broth. So thanks everyone for creating this satsang, I guess, a place where people can be present and grow.
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
great. Well, we love seeing you here, Bruce. So, yeah.
I don't mean to be coming in all the time like this, but if I, it's just like, I don't know, it's impulsive,
We don't have any dress code, bro.
All right, there's someone else waiting. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bruce. Deborah. Hi, Deborah.
Hi.
Deborah.
Hi, Paul. I just wanted to say thank you, and what a breath of fresh air it is to be able to come and listen into these meetings, and it's just delightful just to be able to go through life lighter, like you say, and at the same time, there's a real sense of just life happening. There doesn't seem to be a sense of someone really here, but at the same time, I've been, going through some different grieving things with broken relationships and different things, and just really feeling the pain of that, and not wanting to discount it somehow by just saying, oh, there's no one here, just really being in it. But at the same time, I do know, and it's makes it a lot easier to sit with and be okay. So I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Yeah. See, wanting to know and knowing, yeah, a difference. So when there's a knowing, a lot of shit's allowed in.
Yeah.
You don't live with a locked door. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Feels more, you feel the pain more, I think.
Yes.
Even though there's nobody feeling it, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah, but there's that knowing underlying. See,
Yeah.
It's not something that's on the same, let's say, surface as the pain. It's an underlying where there isn't the pain or the pleasure thing. It's another space. Yeah. And now that has it may stay silent, but it's very influential. It's really the engine of traveling lighter. The engine of traveling lighter isn't switching skillful means like gears in a car. That's not traveling lighter. Traveling lighter is provided by that inherent knowing there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just no trying to change things or fix things. It's just letting things happen.
Well, yeah, they have their own, it's sort of, everything, rises up to the stage and has its 5 minutes or whatever. Yeah, if you keep trying to avoid it, it keeps showing up for another audition. Yeah, it just keeps on. It's got that, it wants those 5 seconds or something. And yeah, that's the essence of traveling lighter. Not rooted in the plane of traveling. Yeah, it's rooted in the context of it all, and it bubbles up. Yeah, and so therefore, I don't say I'm not a person ever really
No.
in my head. I just I know I'm not a person. Yes.
Yeah.
So therefore, that knowing is there underneath while being a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
find it. It's not a way of uh, veering away from or skirting things. I feel constantly all the time.
Mhm.
You're like unbelievable, really. I used to, when I was younger with this, I would sit on the plane when we first got in, and I was just some of these people looked like they could just sap out in a second. I was just feeling tons of shit. The stale air, everything was just unbelievable. I mean, it was a full on fucking orgy of sensations, and the sifter and the blinders were they weren't used to uh, isolate anymore. They were windows. Yeah, you could see all that shit that used to be by the belief of the blinders. You started seeing a lot more and feeling a lot more, and then you realize why people, they may talk a lot, but I think a lot of people would love to have a spirituality of heroin. Really,
Yeah.
they would just love not to feel uh, selectively, let's say. Yeah. And in a way, the mental state really, really numbs us out quite a lot. Really, a lot. Yeah. So it's like an anesthesia that it keeps giving us. So we seem to be, interfacing, but there's a lot of out to lunchness. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Where I feel you're gonna be awake to being an alive event. There's a whole lot going on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Thank you.
I could, yeah, yeah. So I, I don't, when grief or something comes over me, I don't greet it with "I'm not a person."
Yeah.
It just shows up, and like the state, it's like, like they call it what's called certain, like cafes and comedy clubs, there's open mic. Yeah, so the stage is open and there's a mic, and whatever shows up has its little time. Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. So I mean, I used to feel sadness that was so rich. It was like it should have been the soundtrack of, like, Ode to Joy by Beethoven should have been playing. Just, it was super rich, quite a lot. And you know, yeah, yeah. There's
It's
the
intense on the system.
sort of detached isn't numb. See, numb is not detached. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It's yeah, yeah. So, all right, thanks, honey. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Thanks, Deborah. And now we have Deborah, Deborah, Deborah with an O in the middle.
You are now anointed as Deborah. Deborah.
Deborah. Deborah.
Deborah. Shri Deborah.
Deborah. It's really, I love the ability to laugh at the character. It's just,
Yeah.
it's kind of like you come to love the character, really. I mean, they're like a little child kind of just stumbling through. The thing that's really helping me lately, Paul, is when I come up with scenarios of anxiety, future tripping, and things, when you say, well, who is feeling the anxiety? And I turn and I just face it. It's just story. There is no person there. It's just, it really is amazing. It's incredible. It's like, there's no person there. And then it just all kind of breaks down. It just falls into pieces. It's, I don't know. It just, to me, it blows me away. That is really helping me. Just to, it's not the particulars of the story.
Yes.
The who. Is there really a who there? No, there really isn't. So it is getting more comical and lighter, a lot more light. I've been working through this thing with my waiting for dentures, and boy, I had a lot of future tripping things going on there. And one day it just came to me. It's like, just look at it. Don't, try to run, just invite it in, kind of. It's like I just kind of invited it in and sat there with it, and there was no person there. It's just a story, and a story has such a small window. It's just, like you said, very limited and constricted, and then all of a sudden it pops me into the right seat, kind of like the lap of God or something. Looking at it, just with I love metaphors anyway, but yeah, you're just sitting in the lap of God instead of yeah, it's a different view. It's backing that camera away from the, like you said, backing away and getting a bigger panoramic view and seeing the little thing going on. And it doesn't ever want to give up. It's going to try all kinds of stuff. And it does get more comical. It's like, okay, I'm going to bring this problem up, see what you do with this, But not that the problems go away, but just that different seat, it just is different. It's just a total shift. So I really appreciate, I just love coming here, and I love watching everybody. It's kind of like this, like we're like these like flowers that get a hint of the sunlight. And it's wonderful to watch how we're just, we open up a little more and a little more, and then we start just basking in it, I just love watching it. So, and being part of it, really. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Deborah. Deborah. Yes. Well, when you see the glue of the narrative is the person, yes. So that's why if you see you're not the person, the narrative changes, yes. A lot of people are trying to change the narrative, not realizing it's the person that's giving it the meaning, yeah. So if you see you're not the central character, we used to use it. It's sort of like CNN turns into Comedy Central. Yeah. So it's just yeah. You're gonna hear about somebody. That's what the head's broadcasting. It is. Yeah. Now you know it's not a news channel, so the more appropriate reaction is comedy, satire. Did you ever see Stephen Colbert? He had a show called the Colbert Report or something, where
Yeah,
he takes on the persona of a crazy radio personality, and it was, but like the whole show, yeah. So he was, uh, it was great. I mean, it was genius. Yeah, it was genius. Now you could see that he wasn't, yeah, because you had a knowledge of Stephen Colbert, but the performance was great, yeah,
right, right.
and you could really enjoy it because you knew he wasn't like that. It was satirical, yeah. So in a sense, that's sort of what a clarity around what's going on brings, yeah. You see the Paul Hedderman report. And you can see it more as a comedy presentation than waiting, on the edge of your seat to hear the news. Yeah, yeah.
You have a teacher, I can't remember his name. I was listening to him and he was talking about and I just didn't understand it, but it's coming up. Samsara and Nirvana are one. And I'm
Yes.
starting to see that actually. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like there is no object. Absolutely none. It's all spirit, and it's just so hard for me to explain, but it's like maybe the
You don't
words,
have to.
yeah,
Yeah, Deborah, you don't have to explain it.
yeah,
What you are speaks it, so don't worry.
yeah. It's the it kind of reminds me of like you talking about how the poets try to describe it, and it never can be described, but we can't not attempt to describe.
Well, the attempts are beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's all
yeah,
we can make is an attempt.
yeah. I mean, some of the greatest communication is intimation. Yeah, it's intimated, and that's super powerful, I feel. Yeah. So that's really a lot of what satsang is. You are that, and therefore uh, you get a scent of it or an intimation. It's just like more like a whisper that goes a lot longer than a loud, you know. Yeah, yeah. So it's cool. So Deborah, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yes.
Deborah. There, I got it right that time.
Thanks.
She's Deborah on the Zoom. There you go.
And Jed, I'm glad he's coming in because he put in chat Mushin. I didn't understand that. Go ahead, Jed.
I wish you'd comment on that, Paul. Mushin seems to be applicable to a lot of what you were talking about and doing without mind.
What's the word?
Mushin. It's a mental state of no mind.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not contemplative. It's something that the feudal warriors of Japan strove for when they entered combat.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Wow. Well, I didn't know, I never heard of that word, so I'll have to check it out. So you're talking about there was no concern or whatever, they were just on the pulse of the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Sufis practice that with their katas and maybe Tai Chi.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I don't know. I sure would like to hear what you have to say about it.
Well, I'd have to see the. I know, like in Tai Chi, you use a form to sort of sense the formless, right? So you do a form of movements, but after a while, the mind is doing everything. Yes, but at first you have to do a form. So you do the form, and usually the masters that I have met, they end up just standing. They're not doing anything after a while, and they're just buzzed. Yes, so I don't know. I don't know.
I ran into the same thing. That guy, I forget who wrote it, but there's a little monologue called "Breakfast at the Victory," where they talk about doing things without doing.
Oh yeah. Oh great. I like that. Yeah. I could have the Breakfast of Champions while I'm reading Breakfast at Victory. That's good.
Hey, Jed,
No, I didn't. I tend to not put any ideas on stuff. So yeah, but I think most uh, places aren't known; they're observed. Yes. So, like we say in recovery, you will be placed in a position of neutrality. Yeah. So basically, that's sort of the modality I feel a lot. Yeah. So thanks, thank you. We'll take I'll have Michael Zerbel and Deborah do some research and get back to you.
Actually, Don O'Connor already put a link in the chat, and I followed it, and it's a Wikipedia link, and there's nothing. There's no entry. There's nothing there.
Well, there you go.
there's
That's
one
nothing.
thing sorry, there's one thing that it reminds me of. It's kind of a principle through life, actually, is like a person that's learning how to play a piano. And we have a pattern, or the little flashlight part of consciousness that's, I guess you call it the character, learns the way to play the piano, but then once there's a type of thing that happens, it's kind of like when you drive a car, after a while you don't think you're driving a car. It's kind of like once
Yeah.
you learn a song on the piano, then something
You get
else
into a
takes,
zone, you mean? A zone?
yeah, it takes
Like
over.
in sports. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Then the larger consciousness just takes over, and we become the vehicle, sort of, and it plays through us instead of us.
Well, I would say that's the
Yeah,
the
that's,
ordinary state, really. We just
yeah,
sometimes flash into it because
right,
we're entertaining an extraordinary state of imagination.
right. Yeah.
I bet you would see a whole lot more colors when you saw blue as blue and red as red.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The idea of non-doing isn't not doing anything. It's doing without an identification as the doer.
Right.
It doesn't mean there isn't going to be an identification as the doer happening after the doing, but yes, you're going to see that. You're not going to live it. Yeah. Yeah. So you're doing away. It doesn't mean you don't do anything. It just means there's never been anyone who did it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So hey, all right, let's move on. Now I've got I'm searching for Munshin.
Yeah, there's no other hands, but Don says he does see something there at that link, and he says it's Mushin is achieved, or I'm sorry, Mushin is achieved when a person's mind is free from thoughts of anger, fear, or ego during combat or everyday life. There is an absence of discursive thought and judgment, so the person is totally free to act and react towards an opponent without hesitation and without disturbance from such thoughts.
Ah, that's good. Yeah. We'll have to get a new shirt.
Oh, it's because he's in Ireland, so it must be the Irish Wikipedia.
In Muchin.
Irish Wikipedia is actually,
Oh, that's cool. Oh, there he is. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Oh,
we discovered that we've been in something we never knew about.
yeah, I have a book with me. Can I say something?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is the classical Buddha,
Yeah.
okay? And this is the characters here says Muga-Mushin, it says no self. And it shows.
Oh. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Muga-Mushin means no self.
Oh,
Means
great.
is from my martial arts, I know that Muga-Mushin is what you were saying. You do a kata, a form first, right?
Yes.
And you
Yes.
practice karate. It was what I practiced. But it gets a moment when your body already knows and you don't think, you don't react. There's no time
Yes.
to think when
Yes.
you are in a combat.
Yeah, yeah.
So Muga-Mushin is that
Yeah.
no self that is reacting to what already learned.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, see, one of our friends, we don't see him on the Zooms, but we call him Zen Mark. He's a Westerner, but he lived in Korea for 20 years, and he's a Zen martial artist, yeah? So his whole thing about, and he teaches sword, yeah? So,
Mhm.
and he obviously they use form to reach the formless, yes?
Right.
So it's the same thing.
But
We're
yeah,
using a negation of duality to reach the other shore on having never left.
right.
Yeah,
When
love it.
you are
Yeah.
in combat, you cannot think, and you go like is like the bigger self there.
Yeah,
that is,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
doing. It's doing,
Yeah.
but it's not doing. It's happening. You don't. When you are in a combat, you're not doing. You're living and happening, and you are by instinct doing things, but there's no time to think. There's no mind, no self.
Well, I think that's a lot of like the day, you know.
Mhm.
You can have a day like that, yeah. A lot of the time. You don't have to have an opponent or anything or be in a stress-filled situation. You just lost interest in the whole story. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Yeah, like you were saying also in Confucian, is like what I do is just my sharing. I ask the small self, are you confused? And I keep doing my thing as a happening. This is just a happening. Right?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, great. Well, I learned something today. Maybe you can put down the no self. I like the Muga-Mushin or whatever that was.
It was yeah, is Muga-Mushin, no self. Yeah.
All right. So
It's part of
if someone
Buddha.
can send Michael that wording and then he can send it to me or something. That would be a nice shirt, eh? Nice T-shirt.
Oh, I made
We'll
something
be
to
we'll be
hang.
swinging a sword and there won't be an opponent. There'll just be
Yeah, I had my
there'll be no opponent.
I had my sister doing it in a beautiful thing that I hang it on the wall, but it turned yellow with the years, so I didn't know how to clean it, and I have it in my closet. But for my martial art time, it was great because no self is the you're not trying to hurt the other. You're growing. Martial arts is a way of the spirit growing or something.
Yeah. I used to do a lot of Tai Chi when I was younger, with a karate master actually
Good.
in New York. So yeah, I wanted to be Chinese, but
Yeah. This is
I
the other
failed
one
at that.
yeah. This is the other one I
Yeah,
asked my
yeah.
sister to do, which is the Satori.
Ah, Satori, yes, that's nice also.
Yeah, it goes one in, and the other is like an state of mind that is Wu Wei, is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
effortless effort, or the non-action doing, or something like that.
You know what's cool? It's cool to hear a word for a state that you're in instead of trying to make the word you think a state to arrive at. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy that I think we were free forming Muga-Mushin. Yeah. We're
Good.
doing like improvisational Muga-Mushin.
Muga-Mushin.
So it's just coincidence that like our English term mush in the brains.
That's very good. Yes.
Yeah.
It's the best way to be something is not knowing you're being something.
Right. Is
Oh, well, that's
yeah.
a educational evening. We're gonna say goodbye, Mike, now. I gotta practice my new form.
Goodbye.
Oh, I love everyone here. It's fun. Thank you. Yeah, it's great. All right, Esteban, I'm very happy. I'm happy you're excited. I love your enthusiasm. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
knew
fun.
I knew the word. I knew the word.
I hope we all see each other live one day again. Yeah, we probably
Yeah.
will. Yes. We
Good.
got Deborah. I'm sorry, Deborah. Yes. We're gonna start giving names like Osho now. We won't change the name. We'll just change the emphasis. So it's Deborah. It
Yeah,
will be
Esteban.
Mikhail.
Osho was my former guru when he was a
All
Bhagwan.
right, so you don't mind. Yeah.
It's
So
also
Deborah.
It's
See, I'm
also
still wearing
my
red.
my guru.
Deborah from Alberta, save me from this. Nice to see you, Deborah. Mia, there you are. I think you're coming up here, eh? Yes? Yes, we'll see you soon. We got Jack. I can see the Tara as he spoke. We got Bill C. How you feeling, Bill? Yeah?
Still hurting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got a plan, I think, but it's going to be
Oh,
a while.
good. Get some alcoholics in there.
Yeah, I do my best, you know. It's going to be a while. It's teaching me a lot, I think, though, really.
Yeah, all right. Well, keep us, report in and share whenever you need to, eh? Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. We got Tej. Nice to see you, Tej. And yeah. We got Michael Sherman. Yeah, nice to see you. Dono, always. Laurie, Mike. Mike, can you remember to change that thing? So Saturday
I already did.
meeting is going to be at the house if you
I already
want. We're
did.
going to have some food. Mia's cooking a big goose, I think, and I never had goose before.
You're serious? Oh my God.
So yeah, we're going to have the meeting at the house. It's the address is there, right? In the
Yep.
Yeah. I think you just hit more details. And so if you're around, come on over and we'll have the Zoom, same as always, 1:00 Saturday. Okay, we've got Laura, we got Kerry in Hawaii. Thanks for sticking with us tonight, Kerry. We got William S., Kathleen, confused and happy. Anu, there she is. We got Esteban. We got who's this here? Giorgio. He's very relaxed. Nice to see you. We got Jed. Jed brought us a whole new bit of information. Very good. We got someone with David down under in Melbourne. Nice to see you, someone.
That's Steph,
What?
that's Stephanie Paul, the apparition.
She dyed her hair.
Yeah, dude.
Who is it, Stephanie? Is it Stephanie?
I don't know what this is.
Oh, all right, great.
I don't know what it is.
Oh, it looks great. I can't see too close, but yeah, great.
Thank you.
We got Linda. Nice to see Linda. There you are. We got Jack P. Nice to see you, Jack. Yep. We got Miss Amelia. She's in the kitchen, I think, doing some. Oh, she's not. She's laying down there, chilling out. Yeah. Bruce. We got Lynn. Thank you, Lynn, for your chat thing, whatever. We got Susan K. We got Susanna Werner. Susanna, we'd like to see you up here on Saturday if you can, 1 o'clock or later for food.
For Goose.
Yes, I hope to see you. Good, great. We have Brahmi in India. Always a pleasure. I think that's about it. I don't know. Let's see. Yep, I think I hit everyone. Hey, thanks. We'll be here tomorrow with the recovery, and then Saturday, 1 o'clock live Pacific time. So I hope to see you again. See you, Linda, and everybody.